Well, hello everybody. Welcome to P.B.M. Vending. Landlords suck. At least that's what the state of Illinois thinks and believes and acts on. Now, one of the issues that I have always had with living in this stupid state of Illinois is the legal system. Many years ago, when I was in the business, I exchanged a security deposit for this guy to paint the apartment. Well, of course, he defaulted and he didn't paint and he left it a dump and he caused me as much problem as he possibly could, so I sued him and took him to court. I got in front of this judge, and the judge never acknowledged me, never looked at me, never said anything. She called this guy's name. He went up there and he, first I should tell you, I had before and after pictures. I had statements from other people. I had a copy of a lease. I had his signature. I had everything. Okay? He walks up there with, back in those days, if you had an adding machine, the paper that went through there, it was about this wide, and it just had numbers on it. He pulled that out, gave it to the judge, and said, here's proof that I paid for paint. Had no name on it. It was just a piece of paper with some numbers on it. The judge looks at it and says, case dismissed. I stood up and said, wait a minute, you haven't even heard my side. And she looked at me and she said, Mr. Carrier, if you say one more word, I'm going to hold you in contempt. I said, well, that's a bunch of bullshit. And she said, I've told you once, I'm not telling you again. So I slammed the chair in and stomped out. Fast forward 20 years. Our ministry bought our little rental house, and I wanted to do right by God, and I really did the best I could with this house. The guy that I got in there, he paid rent November, December, January, February. Okay? 1st of March comes around and he says, now remember when we heard about COVID-19, and he says, well, I'm a little bit behind, can I have till the middle of the month? And I said, I'll give you 2 weeks, but at that point I want all of this month plus late fees plus half of next month's rent. And he said, okay, no problem. And okay. Well, of course he didn't pay. I went to collect it. He says, we got the COVID-19. No, of course you did. So now he's a month behind. So I called him up and I said, so where are we at? And he said, well, because we had the COVID, we lost our jobs. Of course you did. Now, at this point, I called my attorney. My attorney says, we can't evict him. You can't do anything. The state of Illinois has shut down evictions. The courts are closed. No evictions are being done. I said, well, how long is that in for? And she said, we don't know. This is March, okay? Now, in the meantime, I had been praying about this, about how to deal with this guy. I wanted to believe that God would step in and deal with this guy. But I kept hearing about this program that this federal government had for homeowners. And one day I was praying, and God reminded me of a story that I have told before in class Or he says, I sent you a helicopter, a boat, and a life raft. What else did you want? And at that point, I picked up the phone and called the bank and got approved for a 3-month deferment on my loan. Which, by the way, I was assured it wouldn't affect my credit. It did. But anyway, I digress. So now he's in my house, living large, for free, knowing I can't touch him. What am I going to do? So now it's April. Now it's May. And once again in prayer, God reminds me of the story Jesus tells in the New Testament where he says, oh, by the way, this scumbag in my house claims to be a Christian. And so God says, better you should work out your differences among you than go before a judge who is not a Christian and work against you. So against my better judgment, I contacted this bozo and I said, would you like to work this out? And he said, well, what'd you have in mind? I said, well, I understand people have problems and I want to help. I will forgive half of your debt. Half. And all I want in return is the half now and next month's rent. So he was getting off with like $1,500 of my money. Now, you know what he says? He doesn't say, well, we're not back to work yet. He doesn't say, I don't have the money. He doesn't say any of that. He says, let me pray about it. I thought, okay, that's a weird response. And I couldn't figure that out. The next day I figured it out. The governor of Illinois was making a decision that he was going to announce the next day about whether he was going to extend this program for scumbags. He did. So now we're into May and I still can't do anything. June comes along. Now in June, the governor's going to take the state from stage 3 to stage 4, which means the courtrooms are going to open up. So I contacted my attorney and I said, okay, it's time to get the ball rolling. I'll send you a check and let's evict this bozo. And she said, we can't do that. And I said, why not? And she said, because the Supreme Court, and she wasn't specific about the Illinois Supreme Court or the federal, I'm assuming the federal Supreme Court stepped in and said, any loans or any homes that are rented that were bought by Fannie Mae, Sallie Mae, or Freddie Mac, the tenants in those homes cannot be evicted. I said, well, how long is that going to last? And she said, I don't know. So now we are into, I'm filming this in July 3rd, actually. So from this bozo, I've gotten March, April, May, June, and now July. 5 months. That's $4,000. Plus, I'm going to have to pay to get him out, and there's no end in sight. And this is a little ministry house. This is not, you know, this is not something where I have bottomless pockets. I'm going to be in trouble here. Now, my deferment ends in July. So when August rolls around, our ministry is going to have to start coming up with cash, and we've got no income. Now, why in the world would the state of Illinois do that? And I should have known better. because we're a blue state. And in their mind, if you have money, if you have a business, if you have a rental house, you suck. And the guy that has the job, we need to protect him. Well, you know what? I have a job too. In fact, I have 2 jobs, trying to build a business, a ministry, and a Bible study class, and I'm the one that's being treated like the bad guy. Meanwhile, now before you whine and cry about him, he's a professional at this, okay? So he's been working all along, I'm sure of it. And he's probably been working for cash, which means he also applied for unemployment. He and his wife supposedly worked at the same place, which means they're each are getting $600 a week plus whatever the state of Illinois is paying them. So that's $1,200 a week. Plus they got a $1,200 check each, so $2,400 from the federal government. They're rolling in cash. That's why he didn't say, I don't have the money or I don't have a job. And he said, let me pray about it. There are just some things that are not right, and this is not right. Now I hope that when July comes, that I will get another 3-month deferment, and in the meantime, we can get this clown out of our ministry house and limit the damage as much as we can. But I work for an apartment complex, and we have 500 plus units. Think of how many of those people have pulled this stunt, and they can't evict people either. This is just not right. And for those of you that have a political preference one way or the other, you need to remember this story and which side of this story you sit on. Because whichever political party pulls ahead, that's what we're looking at. And living in a blue state, as a hard-working person that invested God's money into a little rental house, I'm being treated very, very poorly. And the guy that's gaming the system, that's sitting on his butt, raking in all the cash and living off of my blood, sweat, and tears, he's being protected. It's not right. It's not right. But anyway, I wanted to come on and let you know, because in 5 years, I'm going to go back and watch this video, and I'm not going to believe what a tangled up, stupid mess we're in. So anyway, I will keep you updated, and we will find out how God deals with this guy, and I will report back. In the meantime, if you live in the state of Illinois and you have a rental house, I'm very sad and very sorry for you. And I will pray for you. I pray that you would pray for me. Well, you guys have a blessed day. And now that we're semi-opened up in this stupid state, let's go out and do our vending. And then let's try to at least get back to making a little bit of cash. Have a great day. Happy 4th of July. And everybody around here says, stay healthy. More importantly, stay free. The people that died for your freedom didn't give a bat in hell about being safe. They died in Vietnam. They have died around the world and throughout history for you to be free, not safe and well. So this 4th of July, let's remember to stay free above all, whatever that takes. Happy vending and happy 4th of July.